So, of course, the details at this stage, now that we know that this woman has actually now been convicted for trying to present herself as a qualified teacher to the South African Council for Educators in order to get a qualification. Now, the background to the story is that this woman basically walked into the offices in Pretoria, to the offices of the South African Council for Educators, trying to get a qualification or a certificate saying that I am a teacher. Now, SACE is basically the gateway into any classroom. If any teacher wants to teach in a public school, that is the key. They hold the key in order for them to be able to basically allow the Department of Basic Education to employ them and place them in any of our classrooms.
So this is in addition to qualifying in as far as the academics are concerned. Exactly. You have to go through the SACE process, and that's where she was caught out.
Exactly. So now she was caught out at the SACE offices trying to basically get that certificate to say, I am a qualified teacher. What she had brought into the SACE offices was fake qualifications. So she had brought in a degree, a diploma of some sort from some university saying that she had gone through the training process, she had studied to become a teacher, and that she was qualified to be in the classroom. And that is where she was caught out at the SACE offices. The authorities were called in and she was then arrested. Now, since then, she has been convicted. She received a conviction of around 12 months imprisonment, but that has been suspended wholly. And that really depends on whether she doesn't do this again.
Yeah, in fact, let's talk about that wholly suspended sentence of 12 months imprisonment. I imagine that it's probably caused some kind of a debate. What are the stakeholders that you've been talking to saying to you about this?
I mean, of course, SACE has welcomed the conviction, and they say, you know, they hope it serves as a deterrent. I spoke to the Department of Basic Education, and they were quite disappointed to see that there are people still trying to enter the profession of teaching illegally. I mean, teaching is supposed to be a noble profession. It's supposed to be someone who has integrity. You expect someone with integrity to want to become a teacher because they are dealing with not only young minds, but future minds and future generations. You know, they are grooming those kind of people that we want to see in society, that are going to be leaders in society. So they, of course, were disappointed, but have also welcomed the conviction and hope that are calling for actually stronger and harsher sentences towards fraudsters of this nature. In fact, SACE and the Department of Basic Education came out strongly to say that we should not even call these people teachers, because they are not. What they are is simply fraudsters trying to enter the system illegally.
Hence my inverted commas of teacher a bit earlier on. Now, Silindelo, we sort of know that, you know, fraudsters exist in society and in various sectors. So I don't suppose that this is really about one fraudster that has been caught out. To what extent is this a bigger problem in the education system?
I mean, SACE would like to think that I think they have a handle on the situation and they've got things under control. They have told me that, you know, they've improved on their mechanisms and their vetting processes in order to prevent these kind of issues. But I mean, we know from their previous report in 2016 that 20 so-called teachers were actually found in our classrooms already. So they had already gone through that vetting process from SACE and had received that certificate saying that they are qualified teachers and were able to enter these classrooms. Now, we also know that this year alone, around February, SACE had already recorded around 6 people trying to do the same thing. At this stage, we know that under investigation, we've got 3 cases in Mpumalanga, we've got 3 cases in Gauteng, and 1 in Limpopo. And this week alone, SACE also plans to report another 18 cases to the Hawks.
My goodness, that's a lot of people in this short period of time this year.
Exactly. So it seems like this epidemic is actually increasing, and I think that's why the council found it necessary, in order to highlight this conviction, in order to show other people that, listen, if you're going to try and do this, you're going to get caught. We have not only improved our systems, but the law is also taking this very, very seriously. Another thing SACE has also done is that those that do try to enter the system fraudulently, they're going to be blacklisted. And even if they do try and actually get a qualification legally and try to be a teacher legally, they will not be able to enter a classroom.
Is anything being said, Ms. Lindelo? I know we're talking about the SACE process, you know, where you are certified that you're a teacher. But is anything being said about the qualification level at the institutions that these people claim to have attended, is there anything being said about the mechanisms there to sort of try and avoid the abuse of the names of these institutions?
Of course, the council at this stage, they're saying that they are working with the universities, they are in talks with the Dean's Forums in order to get all the universities involved in basically creating some kind of a database. So each year the university would send maybe say a list and saying these are our graduates from our teaching department or from our education department, and if anybody says that they've basically graduated from here, SAYS could immediately go to that list from the previous year, check it and see if this person comes up on the list, instead of having to literally make calls and first have to verify that kind of...
Sounds like common sense to me.
You would expect that, but you know, as you know, processes of government take time. Those wheels kind of turn a bit slowly. SAYS says that they are getting a lot of cooperation from the universities. The ones that have been identified where these fraudsters are using the logos of the universities to say that they've been qualified or accredited from there are UNISA, the universities of Zululand, Free State, as well as the Northwest. So those ones are definitely key in trying to stop this kind of epidemic, basically to run its own course and get out of hand.
That's a whole another story for you to follow up.
Exactly.
It raises questions of what are the dynamics specific to those universities.
And I think it's not only that issue of getting fraudsters into our classrooms, it's what are they teaching our children.
Sure.
That is where the impact is going to be felt, because you know, teachers are basically cultivating our human capital, and if that is not properly done at foundation level, because I hear from SAYS that a lot of them want to enter into primary schools, then you know we're going to have a big problem.